Hey everyone, how's it going? So, Sunkern, when you think of the weakest Pokemon in the game, you probably think of Pokemon like Togepi or Caterpie, but no. Sunkern, to this day, according to its base stats, is worse than all of them. It's still arguably the worst base stat Pokemon all these years later. So, yeah, we're going to be using just that, and we're going to be trying to beat Pokemon Crystal. But unlike some of the other Pokemon I mentioned, Sunkern does get moves. Not a lot of them, though. These are its level up moves, and it gets grass moves. And then these are its TM moves, which doesn't look bad until we start to take out the moves slowly that don't do any damage. And then you realize that we actually don't have very many options for Sunkern. So yeah, that's going to be fun for me, the person who is attempting to do this challenge. And we have a lot of game to get through, so I think we're going to move right on ahead to the first gym leader, Falkner. Actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to move ahead to the first trainer in Falkner's gym, Birdkeeper Abe. Birdkeeper Abe, or BKA as he has never been known ever, has exactly one Pokemon, a Spearow. And the trainers in this gym are actually coded to only attack. Now, my Sunkern has one attacking move, Absorb. And that's not going to do very much versus the Spearow. So we're going to do, well actually what we have to do is we're going to go into Sprout Tower. Okay, when I say have to, I just mean it's the most efficient way to get experience points. In, let's say, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, you actually have to do this first. But regardless, this is where we're going to learn one of the most useful strategies that I think we're going to have going forward, Growth. If you're used to my Generation 1 runs, you'll know all about the badge boost glitch. That is no longer a thing in Gen 2. But raising your stats is still, generally speaking, a good strategy. And this is how I think we're going to end up beating Falkner, is that we're going to be able to set up Absorbs. In fact, I actually think Falkner should be easier than Birdkeeper Abe, because Abe will constantly go for Peck, a decent enough flying move, while Falkner, for reasons we'll talk about in just a second, will not. But first, a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Boot.dev. Boot.dev has courses on a bunch of different languages. I've typically shown you Python and Go, but today I'm going to learn some JavaScript. I had literally zero experience with coding, but the Boot.dev lessons are pretty easy to follow, and it's really nice that I get to actually write code myself and get feedback. I mean, look at this, the feedback's all good because I'm just amazing at coding. And you can really see Boot.dev's philosophy shine through, that the best way to learn something is to make sure you're not bored while doing it, so you actually reach your goals. Part of what makes Boot.dev so awesome for me is that there are leaderboards, and they break them up, and I mean, right now I'm in 4th, not great, but I'm gonna keep doing lessons. Some of the lessons are actually kind of difficult, and there's a couple options for me. For one of them, I used their AI assistant Boots, who was very helpful, and I even got half the experience points. Sometimes though, you're just in a rush, you're really not sure what's going on, so you can just get the solution, and hey, look at that! I'm now number 1! I love that Boot.dev makes me write a bunch of code, even in the lessons, because writing code and building projects is what you're going to do if you decide to do back-end web development. Now, if you want to try out the courses, then you can go to boot.dev, but if you actually want to do the coding, then make sure to use my code JRose11 to get 25% off. That opens up all the interactive features, and it can be the entire first year if you choose the annual plan. First things first, we do have to beat Abe, and at level 15, here is the strategy I used. Peck, Growth, and there we have the move that is going to help us beat Abe and Falkner, Mega Drain. It's a TM in Gen 1, it is learnable by Sunkern in Gen 2. It is still just a meager 40 base power, but that's double Absorb, and because of that, plus a Berry, we are able to take on Abe. Falkner, we might have been able to actually do with Absorb, let's show you why. Alright, so Falkner leads with Pidgey. This thing has only 2 attacks. Mud Slap, which it won't use because it's not very effective, and Tackle. And because of that, we can set up all 6 of our growths. This wouldn't be quite as easy, I don't think, in Heart Gold Soul Silver, if I remember correctly. But even though this level 9 Pidgeotto has Gust, with Mega Drain, and we actually have a speed tie, we don't even need to use the berry. First try victory versus Falconer, and the game is bound to get easier, right? We just beat the Flying Gym. Great! Nothing difficult coming up. Alright, so the next gym leader is typically one that in a lot of playthroughs is seen as kind of a joke. But for us, a Pokemon that, for now, can only use grass moves unless we resort to struggle, which I'm thinking about, a Scyther, a bug flying Pokemon, well, that's not going to be super duper great. We are at a pretty high level. I mean, we're just one Pokemon, so level 22 is good. And like with Falconer, Bugsy leads with a Pokemon we can set up on, Metapod. So we can get +6 in special attack, and we can one-shot the Metapod, but, well, actually Kakuna's next, and oh, it poisoned us. Well, that's not going to be good, but it's not even the Pokemon I'm worried about. It's Scyther. Because not only is Scyther, yeah, Fury Cutter. I mean, that's decent damage, but yeah, Fury Cutter, for those of you who don't know, it starts in this generation at just 10 base power, but every time it's used consecutively, it doubles. And so while it's much more useful in later gens, it's super good here. I decide I'm just going to try and battle Bugsy a bunch of times in order to develop a strategy. I do this a lot in later games because unlike Gen 1 where things are kind of simple, and don't forget I was poisoned there so I wanted to see what would happen if I wasn't, in Generation 2 and later, sometimes just seeing how things work is going to be good. Well, this time I learned something fairly interesting about Bugsy. Sometimes Scyther will inexplicably use Quick Attack. And also we got a Fury Cutter miss. I think I don't know why we got Quick Attack, but the combination of the two and a critical hit by me allowed me to defeat Bugsy on my second try with a frickin' Sunkern. You know who was tougher than that? Rival 2. Why? Well, Rival 2's 3 Pokemon all resist Sunkern. We can set up 6 growths against Ghastly. We're either going to end up being paralyzed, which is what happens here, or it's going to put us to sleep. But as long as we do... Oh, wait, I forgot Zubat comes out next. Okay, this could be a problem. Oh, it's actually going to be a 2-shot, not after Leech Life, and we're pair-refused, which sucks. We are very close to getting a normal move, but we need to get past Rival 2 first. And no, even though you can get to Ilex Forest, we need Cut. It's in Goldenrod. But anyway, it looks like we... I thought we had it here versus Quilava. Unfortunately, the paralysis did prove to be a problem, but in our next battle, we're going to speed right through it because it takes a long time because I fall asleep, but we're just going to... Yeah, Zubat was annoying. Here's Quilava. We get Ember, Mega Drain, Ember, Mega Drain, and +6 Mega Drain, doing some work. And I said Rival 2 was more difficult. I still maintain that because we were at lower health. But in terms of losses, so far, Sunkern, shockingly, despite the fact it has faced the 2 gyms it is theoretically worst against, it has lost a combined 2 times. Which is... Wait a minute, that's not true, because Rival 2 is not a gym. It's lost a combined 1 time. That's not bad at all. But if you've played Gen 2 before, you know Whitney is notorious for being a run killer early on. So how is our feeble Sunkern gonna face her mighty Miltank? Alright, well, Clefairy comes out first, and setting up against Clefairy is possible, but Metronome makes it a little annoying, and a critical hit on one of the double slaps, so we're gonna actually have to go Mega Drain. Thankfully it doesn't faint, but we're only at 23 HP, that didn't go well, and then Miltank outspeeds with Stomp. So, yikes, that's not good. There are more trainers I can battle. There's so many trainers around Goldenrod. Do I want to try one more time is the question. The answer is a clear yes. We're just going to have to get a bit better luck versus Clefairy. I mean, that's possible. Growth, okay, Surf's fine. Swords Dance is not great. Mimic Growth is fine. Ice Beam, are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me? Are you... I mean, we can unfreeze here, by the way. We actually, that is possible. We can unfreeze here. I don't think this is going to happen. All right, well, one more try. That was dumb. I mean, Ice Beam plus freeze, like, come on. Safeguard, Mimic Growth, Double Slap's fine, Stomp is less fine, Double Slap's less fine. I think we should just absorb here. No, one more. Rage. Okay, now. All right, so 46 HP. Miltank goes for rollout. Mega Drain. Oh, okay, we had that. All right, so we just needed enough HP to tank one attack. That was easier than I thought it would be. You know what? I didn't think it would do that much damage. It really seems like Sunkern is taking advantage of its ability to set up. That said, we're not going to necessarily have that ability in every gym battle going forward. We're actually quite lucky that in a lot of the earlier gyms, the first Pokemon kind of sucks and can't really do all that much to us. But when inevitably that does change, I think we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. For now, although we lost twice to Whitney, we have 3 losses and 3 wins. We are at 500 as Sunkern. I take that as a positive. All right, we're going to skip ahead. There's a lot of leveling up here because once you beat Whitney, there are so many trainers I could battle. And I didn't even battle most of the trainers leading up to and in National Park. So we're going to gain tons of levels. But the next major battles we have to do is a mandatory 3rd rival battle that is not in Gold and Silver, but is in Crystal, and Morty, who only single resists us. By the way, for you Chikorita lovers out there, that is 3 of the first 4 gyms that Chikorita would have a bad matchup against. I don't know why they did it like that. First things first, in case you've never played Crystal before, if you try to enter Morty's gym prior to beating Rival 3, this guy just kicks you out. That's why the Rival is mandatory, while in Gold and Silver, this does not happen. Now, I lost this battle a few times before, and I'm showing this battle simply to show you Hidden Power. One of the most important moves that you'll notice is super effective against Haunter. So for now, I want you to guess what type you think it is, but Hidden Power is something we definitely need to talk about. By the way, we're going to win this battle, but we need to talk about it and how relevant it is to this run and the complicated relationship I have with Hidden Power in challenge runs. So in theory for challenge runs, I can use some sort of an editor and create a very perfect Pokemon. For stuff like Weedle and Caterpie, I have done this before because I just want to see if something is theoretically possible, even with the very best ever. With that said, for almost every other run you see on the channel, I simply reset over and over and over and over again for something that looks decent. How do you know what's decent? Well, if you're good enough with math and set up an Excel spreadsheet, you can just do this yourself. I just use one of those calculators online and I see, okay, Sunkern at level 5 can have either 8 or 9 in most of its stats. HP is 18 or 19. And so while I'm resetting, I keep looking, does it have 9 in everything? Does it have 9 in everything? For the record, it's a 1 in 250 chance, all things being equal, to get 9 in everything. And I was willing to take an 8 in defense, so that would actually make it about a 1 in 100 chance, which is not bad. It's not bad at all. All right, I think you guys have seen enough resetting. Let's just go back to the run. But why am I bringing this up? What does this have to do with Hidden Power? I'll tell you. If you got a starter Pokemon at level 100, I would be able to know through math my exact DVs or IVs in later generation, and therefore I'd be able to plug that into a calculator and know exactly what Hidden Power I have. That's not what we're doing though. We know that our IVs are somewhere between 10 and 15. We don't know which number it is, just one of them. And that can radically impact Hidden Power's power as well as its type. This presents a bit of a philosophical problem for my solo runs. I like to reset and use the same sort of tools I used as a kid. I feel it makes the runs feel organic and really what I'm trying to go for myself, let alone for my channel. But in asking about these theoretical questions, there are ways to manipulate the RNG and therefore get more perfect, not completely perfect always, but more perfect Pokemon with more beneficial Hidden Powers. If I had to choose, I would have wanted Hidden Power Rock or maybe Hidden Power Water. Instead, we got Hidden Power Dark, the reason it's super effective against all these ghost Pokemon. That's not a terrible hidden power type. It does offer us some interesting coverage, but if you were to do this run yourself, unless you got my exact Sunkern, your run would go a little bit different, which is why in some of my how fast can you beat challenges, I've banned hidden power. But for these types of challenges where I'm just trying to see if it's possible, I'm not going to cheat and manip in the best hidden power yet. I'm willing to redo the run if I have to get a better Sunkern with RNG manipulation. I'd like to see with just standard, let's call it visual resetting, how much I can sort of do. And that's why we have a Sunkern with a very reasonable base 60 power dark type hidden power. This is definitely not the worst outcome. Hidden power grass probably would have been. But anyway, now that you know we have hidden power dark, you can see why Morty is going to be kind of a joke. Alright, so setting up against Ghastly is tough. I'm going to go one growth, it goes for Curse. I go for a second growth, and Lick doesn't paralyze. I decide to just send it. So one hidden power, we outspeed Haunter, 2 hidden powers, Gengar Hypnosis misses, and that's the game. So we essentially had a 40% chance to win. Also note, in Generation 2, when you knock out a Pokemon, Curse doesn't activate. This is not how Curse works in modern games. And so if we did do this challenge in Generation 4, we would likely need a different strategy. We'd also probably have a different hidden power. But that is a problem for a different Gyros, if ever. For now, we can continue on to Chuck, who shouldn't be all that bad considering his ace is a water type. So I think this should be actually a relatively easy gym. By the way, another first try victory, not bad. All right, so Chuck leads with Primeape, and Primeape actually doesn't have great moves. We're also almost double its level. Unfortunately, critical hit Karate Chop after a Leer is a great move, and Poliwrath does outspeed. Oh no, it doesn't. We're good. We're good. Oh, maybe we're not. Oh, we're not good. Well, okay. That went badly for different reasons than I thought. But surprisingly still a loss. All right, let's try this. Growth, Leer, again, growth. Fury Swipes, one more growth, Rage, one more growth. So now we should one-shot Primeape, and we're going to outspeed and one-shot Poliwrath. Easy peasy. Yay, growth. Chat. Although it's not really chat because you guys are like watching this maybe days, weeks, months, or even years later. But I'll still be there for you. Anyway, I'm sorry, I got distracted by my friend's reference. We're almost done. Well, at least the gyms. We have Jasmine, who we can battle right away. Pryce, who shouldn't be too difficult. We have actually a beneficial matchup against all 3 of his ice Pokemon. Well, one of them isn't ice. And then Clair, that'll be tough. But that's a problem for future Gyros. Current Gyros has to worry about Jasmine. And, I mean, we're going to do the same thing we've been doing the whole time. Just trying to set up growths. Of course, the Magnemite like to paralyze and use Thunderbolt. And unfortunately, after getting an inopportune crit, we suffer another loss. But I actually think this could go okay. We have to be smart. I also could equip a Paralysis Cure Berry. That would give me 1 additional turn. But instead, I go for 3 growths. It 2-shots the Magnemite. Now out comes Steelix. Iron Tail misses, and that, I think, is GG. Hyper Potion. Oh, this is definitely GG. 2 Iron Tail misses. Although I think they have a 30% chance of missing. And then we do get Parafused. However, we're able to eventually fight... Oh, wait, maybe I'm wrong. Are we able to? Okay, we're able to fight through it. And we are going to win on our second try. So we're not getting a lot of first try victories, but we are getting a fair bunch of second try victories, which, again, considering I'm using a frickin' Sunkern, I think is good. I think we take those. Next comes Pryce. I do think he will be nice. We're higher level because we have to do all that tedious Team Rocket stuff. And you'll notice that Mega Drain has been replaced with Giga Drain. And for the first time ever, I'm going to use Growth after the first Pokemon. I know, heresy, but with 60 base power Giga Drain, that is good enough. So almost no growths needed. Completely different new strategy. The one thing that sucks about Giga Drain is only 5 power points is going to make this next section against Team Rocket really annoying. But thankfully for you guys get to skip that part. I don't. And we're going to pick things back up after we're done all that tedious nonsense and have to battle the final gym leader, the Dragon-type trainer, Clair. So Clair leads with Dragonair number 1. I don't remember which one this is. One of them has Ice Beam. I just go for Return. We haven't actually used this in battle yet, and Clair will always seemingly go for Thunder Wave turn 1. We get a nice little crit, and that's Ice Beam Dragonair. The third one is probably, I think there's Surf, Ice Beam, and Thunderbolt, and we make it to Kingdra, who promptly knocks us out. Now, remember how I talked about the Paralysis Cure Berry? In theory, if you just reset the clock, you can get as many of these as you want, but I don't have one on hand right now. I could go get one, and that would give me an extra turn versus the first Dragonair, which may be the difference. So let's try that. All right, so now that we have Paralysis Cure Berry, we have an extra turn. Return, Thunder Wave, okay, Return. Very good. Return is base 102 power. Return, Thunder Wave, Ice Beam, you know what? All right, 84. And now, Dragon Breath, Return, Dragon Breath, full paralysis. So same outcome, but the full paralysis. Wonder if we should do something else. I wonder almost if we should go for growths again. I know, boring, but it could work. Let's try Return one more time. Okay, Paralysis Cure Berry, that's good. 136, we go Return, Thunder Wave. It can miss, by the way, in this gen. I'm just gonna reset. God. This is not looking good, guys. It's not looking good at all. Return, Thunder Wave. Can it just go for Ice Beam? Will it ever just go for Ice Beam? No, not looking good. I mean, there's Ice Beam. That's not what I wanted. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna happen. Let me just think about this. Maybe I need to level up more. Right. I'm just thinking. The game is not frozen. I'm thinking. I'm currently just mathing it out using my very just gonna go for Return, whatever. I don't know. Alright, one last time, and then I'm maybe gonna level up. There are trainers I can battle south of Blackthorn. Return. Oh, wait! Dragon Breath! Wait a minute, that's what we were looking for. Okay, we're good. We're not paralyzed, and now we might be here. Return. Oh, and it missed. Okay, well, when it rains, it pours, and when it suns, it shines. I don't know what the saying is, but... Alright, I actually don't know if someone wants to count how many resets that was. I think that may have been more losses versus Clair. Wow, actually, almost another one with Hyper Beam if that had crit. But almost more losses versus Clair than the rest of the gym leaders combined, which, honestly, not too surprising. In retrospect, I wonder if maybe I should have gone... So, the thing is, Growth Hidden Power is only, like, effectively base 120 power. So I don't think it would have mattered. I think it would have needed at least 4 growths for it to make a difference, and I didn't have that many turns. So, I could have gone for Giga Drain. Anyway, it worked, and we're going to make it to, after we have to battle these trainers who are unique to Crystal, we're going to make it to the Elite Four, where there are really no more moves I can learn. There's really not any more strategies I have. Like we talked about at the beginning, there aren't a lot of moves Sunkern can learn. It's got the best ones. This is probably it for the rest of the run. This is probably the moveset. Is it good enough for the Elite Four? Well, I have like 50 levels to go, so probably, but I don't know. Alright, so Will leads with Xatu. And the Xatu is annoying for lots of reasons. I'm gonna go for Hidden Power Dark. Actually, I'll go for Growth twice. And do we have enough? Okay, it looks like it's a speed tie at level 60. Now with 2 hidden power, oh, it's not enough for Jinx. Okay, so that's kind of annoying. I guess I need to level up more. Alrighty. let's try it again. That wasn't so bad. So we'll go growth, but confuse ray. See, this is what I was worried about. And now psychic, and now, all right, well, that's not gonna work. Maybe we'll just hope it doesn't use confuse ray. That should work, right? Right? It won't use confuse ray every time. Growth, of course it will. I should just equip bitterberry. All right, well, let's go, and I don't have the bitterberry on me, so 1 second. All right, now I have the bitterberry. Very good. So we should have this, right? We can go for growth. We can go for growth. There we go. Confusion. All right, look, it snapped out. All right, well, that's fine. You know, I didn't even go for a third growth to knock out the Zat. So if you want to know how I end up beating Will, we're going to have to skip ahead a bit because it's actually due to a misclick, if you can believe it. So everything is going to start the way you've already seen. So we do growth, growth, and double psychic is good. And I go hidden power. But I actually end up clicking return because I wasn't paying attention. See my eyes? I didn't mean to go for return there. I actually meant to go for Giga Drain to try to kind of get my HP back, hoping that Ice Punch wouldn't do enough. But I accidentally misclicked. See, I went for Giga Drain here. And that was the problem. But in the end, return does more than a twice boosted Hidden Power Dark. Hidden Power Dark is a special move. Jinx has very good special defense. It has bad physical defense, and just an unboosted return was enough to knock it out. Unfortunately for me, Koga will also be a very frustrating opponent because I don't have anything super effective against his Pokemon, and Poison, I don't know if you know this, it's good against grass. So this is going to be, well, let's just say it's not going to be my favorite battle. So I try to knock out Ariados quickly with return. It's a 2-shot, but here's where we run into a bit of an issue. It's going to be a 2-shot, but Venomoth poisons me. Now we have Muck. Muck is going to be a 3-shot, goes for Acid Armor, and then Minimize. I'm going to go for Growth, try to get, oh, we knock it out. Okay, wait, this is fine, but wait a minute. Probe Out outspeeds, it's going to be a 3-shot, and it does have Wing Attack. If you can believe it, I did actually beat Will again, 2 for 2 there. And I'm thinking about using growth strats. Unfortunately, we get a Baton Pass immediately to Venomoth. So I go for return. We're not poisoned this time, so that's looking good. I'm wondering if we just go for 6 growths, what would that do? The problem is the Ariados is going to start to eventually, oh, actually used an extra growth. It's going to eventually start to go for double team and then Baton Pass out, which is exactly what it does. We do hit Muck, but it's going to be a 2-shot. And then Sludge Bomb knocks me out. And this is exactly the problem. We need to be able to one-shot, and that Sludge Bomb did way too much. So you can see me here stalling on the screen because I know it's coming. We're going to need to level up. And there's 2 different ways I could level up. I could battle the Elite Four over and over again, or I could battle random wild Pokemon. But J-Rose, maybe you could beat Koga. No, I'm going to battle him and lose. And this is a time to talk about another sort of philosophical difference I have with other runners. And this is not like a positive or negative thing. This is just something that some of you might know, but new people, if you're watching this, welcome. I do crazy stuff like this and less crazy Gen 1 challenges, so watch more of them, please. But this is, again, just a personal thing. I don't use the move Double Team. Double Team makes a lot of this stuff really easy. Oh, wow, that did so much. But yeah, Double Team makes a lot of this really easy because we just set up against Ariados or something, and it becomes so unlikely that the opponent can hit with any sort of consistency. You can win with pretty much any Pokemon that can learn TMs. So pretty much for every single Pokemon I can think of, I have, let's say, soft band Double Team. If literally there are no other options, I will try to use it because there are still some Pokemon that even with Double Team, it's not going to happen, which is kind of awesome. We had Spinarak in Heart Gold Soul Silver, which I actually think there's a better strategy now that I have 2-3 years of experience more. I think there was a better strategy there. But in this situation, I am not going to resort to it. I would have to be at level 100 and losing for like a few hours before I'll ever resort to Double Team. So in case you're ever wondering why I don't use it, well, that's why. Anyway, level up by battling some trainers in Blackthorn, and eventually, strategies start to present themselves. I say that as if I'm not just going to level up and do more damage, but yeah, pretty much. So I'm pretty sure this is my 5th battle versus Koga. I'm beating Will pretty consistently, and my strategy is to go for the 6 growths. So that would take me to 32, because I use 2 versus Will, and then 6 here. It one-shots Ariados, and then Venomoth. At level 63, it does one-shot, which is really good. Now at level 64, it's not going to quite one-shot Muck, but even if it went for Sludge Bomb, we would be, well, actually we'd be in trouble, because Crobat, oh, actually, I don't know if that crit mattered. It may not have, and that's kind of good. This actually was a bit of a janky strategy. Leveling up a little bit more might be necessary, but not going to complain. We have made it to everyone's favorite meme in my challenges, Bruno. But Bruno in Gold and Silver is actually a lot better. Bruno in Red and Blue is horrendous. Bruno in Yellow is better, but still kind of bad. Bruno in Gold Silver is actually decent enough. So I do something totally unnecessary and really silly and a huge waste of time, but it is going to work. We're just going to set up 6 growths and then sweep with Giga Drain. Now, the reason this is kind of a bad strategy, as you're going to see, is that I don't think we have a good matchup versus Karen, and I want to be able to save, which I'm allowed to do, by the way. I don't do it in some of my easier challenges, but in these runs, 100% save as much as you want. But yeah, against Karen, I would like to save, but I'm going to need to now use an elixir. Those don't respawn. So it's going to be kind of tedious where I have to just use elixir every single time. I know it doesn't sound awful, but when you want to do like 20 battles, it's annoying. So if I would have preserved the Giga Drains, I'd prefer that, but time to go battle Karen. This is going to be awful. So if this is your first time watching a Gen 2 run, the reason Karen sucks in solo runs so much is that her Umbreon, well, if you need to set up like we do, and we probably need to set up all 6 growths again. The issue is it has Sand Attack, which is the biggest deal. Confuse Ray sucks too, don't get me wrong, but losing accuracy is awful. It really won't matter if Houndoom outspeeds in one-shots, and we're going to find out, well, actually, we don't even one-shot Vileplume, which is terrible. In the end, however, it all comes down to Houndoom, and even though we're almost 20 levels higher, it still outspeeds us. This is where it's important to note why damage calculations or speed calculations are a little complicated. So in Generation 2 and 3, I love Generation 4 runs for this reason, by the way. The stats you see on screen aren't your actual stats. There are 2 invisible boosts that are being applied. Type boosts and badge boosts. So as I make my way through the Elite Four, let me explain these because these are really obscure and they're really overpowered. They're part of why Return is doing so much damage to Jinx, by the way. When you beat certain gyms, you get a 12.5% boost to one of your stats. Zephyr for attack, Mineral for defense, Plain, Whitney's for speed, and complicatedly, Glacier for special attack and sometimes special defense. You don't have to worry about the sometimes and the asterisks here, but essentially there's a bit of a bug. And so if my special defense is never 205 or above, which it's not going to be, the boost is only being applied to special attack. Don't worry about it, but I didn't actually know about this. That's very annoying. Therefore, even if I have a guide, which I do, and I know Houndoom's exact speed, I actually need to do a slight calculation for Sunkern. In terms of how much damage I'm going to do, it's even more complicated because there's an additional 12.5 boost on top of the other boost to my stats for types of gyms you've defeated. This is why Hidden Power Dark isn't the best, because there isn't a Dark gym, and to my knowledge, Elite Four members do not count towards this. But normal, like Return, I beat Whitney, so I'm getting plus 12.5% plus on top of that 12.5%, which is insane. And if you ever do Nuzlocke in Gen 2, it's why certain types of Pokemon are just objectively better, like normal type. But for our Sunkern's purposes, Return is the only move that's being boosted, and unlike in later gens, growth only affects special attack. If that were different, it would be sick. And on top of that, our speed is slightly higher than we think it is. I know that was a lot of information, and it might not seem completely relevant right now, other than outspeeding Houndoom, but it was good a time as any to talk about it, and I promise you it's going to become quite relevant shortly. But as you'll notice, right now, we're just not a high enough level to beat Karen, and since there are no additional strategies I can think of, we're just going to have to level up. It sucks, and probably we're just going to have to go through the Elite Four over and over trying, meaning we're not going to be able to save because then we won't be able to lose. But eventually, we're going to get by Karen. It's not as if Lance is going to be easy, by the way, but one thing at a time. All right, so I had I don't know if they're going to count how many battles I lost, but it's a ton. And most of them were just losses to Houndoom. I could usually get by Umbreon and even Vileplume. I have the Paralysis Cure Berry, which is good. The biggest issue is obviously it's very annoying when Umbreon does a bunch of damage, but I gained back most of my HP. Now you might be wondering, why even bother continuing? Why not just reset? Well, the hope is that when I get to Houndoom, I go for Giga Drain, gain my HP back, enough to tank a Flamethrower, and then I knock it out. I just could never get 2 hits in a row. Unfortunately, Gengar uses Curse and I lose. Look at that expression. It took me 20 minutes to do this. Oh my god, I was so upset. But one thing you'll note is I have been leveling up. I've actually been battling the Elite Four a few times for levels, but the important thing is that I'm actually now outspeeding Houndoom. I'll be real, I just don't see another way of doing this, but once we get by Karen, so long as I don't have to use too many elixirs, I'd like to save and battle Lance 20 times, just so I know exactly what level I'll need to beat him, but we're actually quite close to beating Karen, and I'm not as high level as I thought I'd need to be, so I'm impressed. I believe it took 3 more attempts to get this battle, but finally everything comes together. I did have some rare candies, so I just made sure that I leveled up so that I didn't waste any experience points. Umbreon was annoying as always, but we know the strategy will work. I'd also reset if I got 2 sand attacks, so a lot more resetting, but more consistent once we get to Houndoom. We're also doing more damage, so I had to adjust my strategy on the fly. I knew a max potion was coming. In Generation 2, they can only use potions on their ace. It doesn't matter when the ace comes out, which is not random, but it's not preset like in Generation 1. Anyway, I went for a second Giga Drain, and this was pretty big, but it actually doesn't matter as much as you think. I outsped Gengar, which, again, was not my expectation there, but I'll take it. And then Murkrow, all we need to do is go for Return, and it should one-shot, and it does. No boosts, just Sunkern loving me so much that its base 102 normal move knocks out Murkrow. I immediately save, and we're ready for what I think is going to be one of the worst battles in the run. Alright, I mean, let's be honest, there's not really that many hard battles left, but it's still a very fair statement. Alrighty, so Lance is going to lead with Gyarados, and oftentimes Gyarados likes to go for Rain Dance first turn, which is what it does here. Flail is fine, Hyper Beam less so. I go for Giga Drain, and it doesn't knock it out. That's a recharge turn. I should have gone for another Giga Drain, it was a mistake. And I end up getting 5, actually I'll just get all 6. Oh, well, no I won't. Now, again, in these early battles, I often will do silly things because I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I might need, how many growths. I'm just trying to figure it all out. So let's go for growths. Rain Dance is fine. Hyper Beam. Okay, so I can definitely get a 3rd growth here, and it recharges. Now it's going to knock it out. Okay, so 3 is a range. So how much damage do I do to Dragonite? I outspeed it, and I do half. Okay, now that's with Black Glasses and Blizzard misses, that's good. Now Aerodactyl goes for Wing Attack. Okay, I'm fully paralyzed, but that should knock it out. Okay. So now the issue is Charizard. The rain is long gone. I didn't mean to go for Return there. I meant to go for Hidden Power, but that's okay. Alright, I mean, I'm thinking there's one improvement I could make right off the bat. I'm thinking this could be, well, if I can get 6 up, it might not matter, but let's just see how many I can get. A Flail is fine. Surf is fine. Hyper Beam. Okay, so I have another one. And how many do I have now? That's all 6, I think. right? That's okay. So now how much damage do I do to Dragonite? Okay, well, that was a crit, so maybe that's what happened there. Did I use all 6? I don't think I did. Oh, never mind. That was a crit, and I shouldn't have done that against Aerodactyl. That was bad. Okay, so here's my suggestion I had that I didn't voice. If I use a Paralysis Cure Berry, I get an extra turn to set up against Dragonite, and I might be able to one-shot things. So let's try it again. Again, we're just testing things out. Nothing super... All right, 1 Hyper Beam. Oh, it didn't use Rain Dance. Okay, now it did. So I think this is 4, and then this... All right, let's just use Giga Drain here. We have almost max HP. Dragonite, this shouldn't knock it out. How much does it do? Okay, so I needed 6, which is fine. I can knock it out here. I'm not paralyzed. It goes to Aerodactyl, which is great, because I'm going to for sure knock it out with Giga Drain. Now we have to worry about Charizard. I don't know if I outspeed it. Let's just see. Oh, I do. Oh, that's the game. That's it. Oh, Safeguard, it's definitely game. That is it. GG. Level 40. Oh, it missed anyway. That is the entire Johto region defeated with just a Sunkern. Oh my goodness, that is really cool. Only 4 tries. My face was... I don't know if we saw my face there or not, but there were some good reactions. This is not a plug, but if you ever do want to see these runs performed live, almost always I do them on my Twitch. It's just JRez11 on Twitch. Bit of a different experience, but you ever wondered what it was like to see me do these live and see the inner quote-unquote machinations? That's how you would do so, but... Alright, now my current machinations are that I have to go and beat Red. I will tell you, none of the Kanto gym leaders are ever challenging. I think from now on, if I ever lose to one of them... Wait, why am I showing a Kanto gym leader? I was just gonna say unless I lose, but unsurprisingly, I lose to Blaine. I used Hidden Power. I actually meant to go for Growth there, and I get burned. Giga Drain will knock it out, but now without Growths and with the burn, I actually end up losing to Rapidash, if you can believe it, after burn plus Fire Blast. But in the very next attempt, I don't get burned, and I actually not just win, but I win not taking a single HP of damage. So that's pretty cool. Now, Blue is typically going to be pretty difficult. He has a multi-type Very team, but in this battle, Pidgeot does some weird stuff. I go for Growth, it goes for Growth. I go for Growth, it goes for Growth. Of course, it's using Mirror Move, but the thing is, for some reason, it just keeps copying Growth, and now I have +6, and I'm at level 86. I think you know where this is about to go. I sweep the entire team. Really, really easily. Blaine was harder than Blue. Okay, so that was weird. But what is not going to be weird and is quite expected before we even show battles, let's talk about Red for a second. The Pokemon we gotta worry about is Charizard. I mean, we've beaten Charizard when it came to Lance, but with Lance's Charizard, we were actually able to outspeed it. It is actually mathematically impossible to outspeed Red's Charizard. The reasoning is, despite what you might see on Bulbapedia, that assumes you have a beneficial speed nature, and since natures don't exist in Generation 2, even if you have, which I actually do have, by the way, I'm just leveling up a little bit, perfect speed DVs, as well as max stat experience and speed. Don't worry what those words mean, I'm as fast as I can possibly get, or at least I will be once I get to level 100. I actually, even with the badge boost, which I calculated by the way, you are just, I think 2 or 3 points too slow to outspeed the Charizard. And that means Charizard is going to hit me, and that means I have to be able to tank a hit from Charizard and then knock out the rest of Red's Pokemon. What I don't know is when Charizard is going to come out and how much damage it's going to do. We're going to find that out right now by battling Red. Okay, so we're barely a higher level than Pikachu, and I have to figure out a strategy here. It goes for Thunder, and I'm going to set up 6 Growths. I'm not happy about Charm because I can't use Return, but I have a bit of an idea here. I'm gonna go for 6 growths. All right, I don't get paralyzed, and I can knock out Pikachu with Giga Drain. Okay, what comes out next? Interesting, it's Venusaur. I'm gonna go for Hidden Power, but even with 6 growths, it still does just half. But what's important is, just like Lance's Gyarados, Red's Venusaur set up a Solar Beam. And so level 77 Charizard comes out, and with Sunny Day, that is enough to knock out my Sunkern. So now there's a bit of a question. What do I do? Sunkern is equipped with the leftovers. You have a couple options to get that. Thankfully, it's available pretty easily, and we're paralyzed. Now, I do have an idea here, but we're gonna have to leave the cave to do that. And I think we're gonna have to. I can use Giga Drain, but with leftovers, we should be fine. Sadly, I don't know the percentage of it using Sunny Day, but it's now done so twice, and that means I'm just done. There is 0 chance Charizard misses an attack, and so if I see Sunny Day, it's over. I've been battling Red for 5 minutes, and I'm still using the exact same strategy. Mostly because if I want to change strategy, I need to leave, and I'd prefer to test something before I leave. Thankfully, I get absurdly good luck where I don't get paralyzed. And that means if Venusaur can cooperate, maybe we can tank a Flamethrower. Hidden Power, Solar Beam. And we're gonna get Lefty's Recovery, so we're at full HP. Do we tank this? No. No, we do not. Okay, this is useful, because not only am I gonna get the other strategy move I need, but I now know I'm gonna level up. How much do I need to level up? Well, remember that whole badge boost thing and the special defense being glitched? That's where it came into play, because I didn't know that at the time, and so all my damage calcs were wrong, which is fine. But yeah, we're gonna level up quite a bit, and well, I'll show you another battle. Alright, so I'm at level 91. I've actually just used the rare candies, but you'll see that Return has been eliminated, Rest has been added. Why? Because oftentimes Pikachu paralyzes me, and so to eliminate the paralysis and keep my very useful leftovers, see I'm paralyzed right now, I have Rest. And typically this works fine, we make it past Pikachu. But here is where there was a huge problem. Venusaur, I would say 90% of the time, went for Sunny Day. And Hidden Power, unless I got a critical hit, was a 2-shot. So if I didn't get a critical hit, or the 10%, which is just me spitballing, I don't know the actual odds that it didn't use Sunny Day, Charizard still knocked me out. And to spoil something, there is no possibility for Sunkern to ever, without like Focus Band, tank a Sunny Day assisted Flamethrower. It simply isn't going to happen. So although the Rest edition made more runs get consistently to Venusaur, and then to Charizard at full HP, which is important, it wasn't enough. I kind of wish I went right to level 100, because in the rare time Venusaur would cooperate, I would, well, watch this. I get the Venusaur, look at that face, I'm ready to win, I'm gonna tank it, but I didn't realize no special defense badge boost supply, and so my math was wrong. I will actually eventually tank a non-Sunny Day assisted Flamethrower, but not at level 92. And so sadly, I need to level up more. I really wanted to do this before level 100. I actually have 2 rare candies here, so I can go all the way up to level 94, which is even worse, because I think I could have tanked it at 94, just barely. And it takes so long between attempts. We're now past the 40-minute mark of battling Red. I'm at level 96. And as we speed through this, I'm going to mention to you something I learned that was really important. You see, if Venusaur went for Sunny Day, theoretically, I could try and stall it out. I would do this. I'd go for growth, try to use Rest, try to because I need to be at full HP with no sun. The problem was, it just never lined up perfectly. In fact, in this other battle, which is actually the very next battle to the one I was going to show you, because it doesn't really matter, I would end up getting it all the way to struggle. And it knocks itself out. I'm at 221 HP. It's almost full HP, but not enough. I need to be at completely full HP And so a huge change to the strategy is something you guys won't see. It's resetting more often. Of course, the very next battle, I couldn't implement my new strategy because I get the critical hit, I'm at full HP, and here is where the problem lies. Hidden Power doesn't quite knock it out at level 96. If I had black glasses, it would knock it out, but then I wouldn't have the lefty's recovery. And this posed a really big strategic conundrum. I now have a lot of different pieces. We're just going to go to level 100, by the way. I now know there's no way I'm going to win without it. And the sad thing I realized is if I had manipped this Sunkern for a base 70 Hidden Power Dark, who would have thunk Hidden Power Dark would be so useful? But it's neutral against all of Red's Pokemon. In fact, it's super effective against Espeon. We haven't even seen it yet. But it's neutral enough. It's special, so it's boosted by growth. I mean, I guess it might have been even better to use something like Dragon, because we would have the super effective against Clair as well as Lance, and then we would get the type boost. And thinking about that, if I had thought about that before, we would have won already, I think. We would have one-shot the Charizard. But sadly, I didn't manip this Sunkern, and I was starting to feel like, I don't know, I manipulated and cheated before, but only in runs with like Caterpie, and never to like actually say I've won. Those are so difficult. We're just talking about whether it's even theoretically possible for a human being to do it. I feel like Sunkern is better than this. I feel like there is a way with this random Sunkern. I just reset over and over. I had no idea what its hidden power was going to be. I had no idea what its IVs were going to be. I just reset for like 7 minutes and got something. Surely this Sunkern can do it, right? Well, after almost an hour, we get this battle. We can speed through the Pikachu part. It doesn't matter. I come out with full HP. I get no critical hit, but I get yes Solar Beam. So we continue to Charizard. And at level 100, with the black glasses and a crit, we knock out Charizard. We have won! Or not. Because the next Pokemon to come out is not Snorlax, nor Blastoise, but Espeon, which outspeeds and does 50% with Psychic. Like Charizard, there was no way to outspeed a level 73 Espeon, and this is actually when I started to believe this may not be possible. I mean, everything went right. We reset for a battle where the Venusaur didn't use Sunny Day. We got a crit against Charizard. How are we going to outspeed Espeon? Well, this required a lot of thinking and mathing, and I did some calculations. And I ended up realizing that if I used the right combination of luck strategies, I could give myself a 1 in 80 chance to win this battle. Which, considering I've done 1 in like 200 and 1 in 400 odds for a lot of the battles, wasn't so bad. So what is this magical strategy? I'll tell you. So I'm just going to fast forward the Pikachu parts because they're really boring and they take forever. But here's essentially the strategy. In this specific battle, I screw up and I should have reset as soon as I saw Sunny Day. I thought I saw Solar Beam. But we're going for about a 1 1/3% chance of a Quick Claw crit against Charizard. Why? Well, because then I win. Like I said, Espeon does about half with Psychic, so if I get a Quick Claw crit, that means I'm at full HP for Espeon. Alternatively, I can play it the same way I was playing it before, have 35 HP, and then all I would need is 2 Quick Claw activations, which is about a 4% chance. So, it's unlikely, but if I do this for enough hours, think about how people shiny hunt. I should be able to get a run done. Most of it's just going to be this really tedious cat and mouse game with Pikachu, no pun intended. And, oh wow, did I lose this one to Pikachu? Hey, I actually lost to Pikachu, look at that. I found one of the runs I lost to Pikachu. That's kind of funny. But yeah, it's going to take a really, really long time. But eventually, we're going to get a run. We're able to establish 6 growths and use rest at the perfect time, followed by a Giga Drain to knock out Pikachu and go to full HP. We then get to the big reset point. I don't get a critical hit, but we get Solar Beam. This is actually outside the 1 in 80 chance. I was talking about once I get past here, it's like a 1 in 80 chance, but we get the Quick Claw critical hits, and then we get another Quick Claw. That was the craziest luck I could hope for. It's over now. I go for Giga Drain. Oh, wait a minute. Now it's over. I go for Giga Drain. Oh my god, if I had lost, I would have gone crazy. And Blastoise is not going to outspeed Sunkern. Finally, we defeat Pokemon Crystal with the statistically worst Pokemon. That was probably the craziest amount of luck I've ever intentionally gone for. And I know some of you will say, just use Double Team, but I didn't have to. I didn't have to use Double Team. I didn't have to hack in a better hidden power. With enough strategy and, frankly, perseverance, we were able to beat all of Johto with just a Sunkern. We did. Why is there more video? What about Heart Gold Soul Silver? I mean, that's going to be impossible. Heart Gold Soul Silver, the AI is way better. They have much better moves. It's simply not going to happen. Do it! No. This is a long video. I'm not... No, don't play the theme song!